think, look, I get messaged by a lot of coaches, particularly coaches that are maybe from assisted backgrounds,
Yep,
and they're coaching natural athletes, and they're sending me
yep.
products or supplementation, or asking me what is the best fat burner, what is the best natural diuretic, and all these things, because they're trying to have tools in the toolkit, which I understand.
Mm.
So let's discuss the effectiveness of natural fat burners. Do we think that there's any warrant in utilization? And if so, what would be good sources or products that you would maybe recommend?
Okay. Okay. This is a good question. I've written up a project to test some actually. I was going to say believe it or not, but you can pretty much believe that, right? Um,
Yeah.
so fat burners, right? Where to start on this one, right? You can measure fat burning capacity, right? You can absolutely measure this. So what you would do is you're measuring breath by breath analysis, right? So you put a mask on someone and you measure the proportion of oxygen to CO2 in which they're consuming. And if the ratio remains fairly low, um, then they're burning more fat. If the ratio goes up, they're burning more carbohydrate from there, and that's where you get this concept of the kind of the fat burning zone. And then you get something called fat max. It's like a tipping point, right? Whereby once you go past this is your optimal fat burning area, and once you go past this, the amount of fat that you're burning starts to potentially go down. Um, but it's complicated by the fact that as you start working at a higher intensity, even though you might start to burn more carbohydrate, if you're burning more energy per minute, then the relative amount of fat per minute might be going down, but the total amount might still be very high, right? Which is why, like high intensity exercise, you burn twice the amount of calories, but okay, you go from maybe I don't know, burning 70% at a low steady state and burning 100 calories versus doing, say, 50% fat at a higher state. So the overall amount of calories you're burning is from fat is higher. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So you can measure this sort of stuff. You can absolutely measure this sort of stuff. Right now, I'm interested in something called New Zealand black currant, which has got polyphenols in it, anthocyanins, particularly concentrated ones. And people have done experiments whereby they get you to walk on a treadmill with a slight incline, and what happens is they manage to find that actually versus a placebo, you're able to obtain at the same relative intensity higher fat burning, right? You can absolutely do that. So there's lots a lot of studies that show this. So it works with caffeine, for example. It works with calorogenic acid, which is in coffee. So coffee contains this and caffeine, right? So this increases your fat burning as well. The other thing is as well as you see this in steady state cardio first thing in the morning. So when you first wake up without having a meal, your capacity to burn fat is actually higher as well, right? The problem with all of this stuff is though, again, it's in relative terms. If you take it acutely, you see, okay, there's more fat burning taking place. But if you look at, say, an 8 week study of them taking the dietary supplement, do you see more fat loss? And invariably, you don't.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, right. So that's the difficulty. So in an acute phase, there's maybe something going on, but it might just be like, look, that percentage difference in the fat burning capacity of, say, 1% or 2% doesn't actually translate into 1 week down the line, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks down the line, and an extra 2 or 3 pounds. Maybe it doesn't translate into anything more than, say, 10 grams of fat.
Yeah.
So in which case you're sort of thinking, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point? Now there are some other things, right? So when we talk about fat burners, usually the main ingredients, and you'll probably agree with this, as you'll see, are caffeine is one of the big ones. Caffeine has got that fat burning capacity associated with it. Green tea is a popular one because of the polyphenolic
Yeah.
compounds which are in it. Epicatechins are the ones which are in that. Gallic acid, chlorogenic acid, like caffeine, coffee as well. But the caffeine reduces your rate of perceived exertion on things. So there's maybe an indirect effect whereby things feel less arduous.
Yeah.
So you can keep working harder. You get a little bit fatigued, you've got your caffeine, you can keep working at a high intensity for a long time. So you get caffeine, the stimulant, you get the direct fat burner from the polyphenols. B vitamins are often included in a lot of fat burners as well. These are to release energy because B vitamins are involved in energy metabolism. They help the conversion of different nutrients and the biochemical pathways like the Krebs cycle and so on to release things. And then you sometimes get thermic agents as well. So capsicum's a popular one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're like, oh, all these ingredients, Andy, these are the things that I expect to see in fat burners. So again, things which are spicy, you eat that, you get a little bit hot.
Yeah.
But again, it's like nobody just eats peppers and really spicy peppers and loses weight, right? So you think, okay, I'm getting hot and burning fat, but actually, no, right?
Yeah.
Not, not in reality, right? Not in reality. You might sweat a little bit, but you're not getting hot. And then there might be a few other sort of bonus ingredients thrown in there, but that's very often the basis for your fat burners on there. I don't know if you've got anything to add, or do you think I've covered this fairly
Yeah.
well? What do you
A
think?
lot of those would have been the things that I have discussed. Whenever people are asking me those questions and I talk about caffeine, one of the things you mentioned there was maybe a higher endurance capacity. So by
Yeah.
proxy, your output goes up, and that leads
Yes.
to fat burning. So
Yes.
it's not like it's kind of almost like indirectly. Uh,
Yeah.
Caffeine also blunts your lactic response, or at least the sensation of lactic
Mhm.
buildup. So your lactic
Okay. Yep.
threshold essentially can be higher in the presence of higher blood caffeine levels. Now,
Yep. Yep.
a 50, megs of caffeine's not enough. Like a lot of these here, it's all dose response in terms of maybe 400, 450 plus, maybe in some cases daily dose, which is quite high for most people. The other thing that I think is discussed quite often in the pursuit of weight loss is fasted over non-fasted cardio.
Mm.
It's something that I try to explain to people. Like a lot of testing has been done on this model.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they do fasted cardio, they're essentially saying first thing in the morning, do that. Cortisol levels potentially higher, so we've got the higher potential for energy mobilization. We During the actual cardio event itself, we have a higher burning profile of body fat. But if calories are equal throughout the course of the day, the total net amount of fat burnt will be the same.
Yeah. 100%.
So
That's it.
for me, then we have to look at what out of those two models, fasted or non-fasted. So we talk about the indirect
Yeah.
effect of these things. So if you feel more energetic with a
Yep.
fed, like slightly fed, and do your cardio, then by proxy that is going to result in higher metabolism because you're going to burn more
Yep.
calories because you're going to be able to go level 17 on the cross trainer for a little bit longer or for a higher RPE than what you would fasted with a lower energy profile. So for me, it's I always say to people, if you feel great with fasted cardio,
Yeah.
fill your boots, but don't think that you are weaponizing something extra by doing that. I like
Yeah. So
if I was to do it, I would always select fasted because I don't like feeling particularly hungry. I'm quite happy to feel fueled. I think there's also that psychological element for me. If I feel fueled or there's food in, then I end up being more energetic.
So again, this is a fascinating conversation because like people arrive at the right answer, but for the wrong reason.